gifted way how the reform bill is not a bailout bill.
Okay. First of all, the reform bill is by no means perfect. The first thing we need to do is make the reform bill better in two ways. One, we need to make sure that the Volcker rule that would basically bring an end to the ability of banks to both do banking and do their own proprietary trading in derivatives ends. That is really fundamental. Otherwise, it means that taxpayer money is used, taxpayer guarantees are used to basically back up the casino playing of the banks. So the first thing is to make sure that the too big to fail banks come to an end. We need to end that because every time we have too big to fail banks, the taxpayer is on the hook. So just tell them that too big to fail means too big to exist, period, the end. And the other thing to tell your friends is that if there is no real reform, if we leave things as they are, there is going to be another crash. And the taxpayers will bail them out, because even if Mitch McConnell says now, no, we won't, if they pose a systemic risk, we will. Because we are part of a global economy, the pressures to bail them out will be enormous, and nobody will be able to resist them. So the only way to avoid that is to really put an end to too big to fail. I never understood why I got a degree in economics at Cambridge, because I never used it until recently. And now I'm really grateful I did, because a lot of people think that this stuff is so complex that we little people can't understand it. And the fact is that complexity is not a bug, it's a feature. They want it to be complex so that people can actually say, we don't understand it, we're just going to leave it to the grown-ups. But the grown-ups are utterly irresponsible. And that's really the time to acknowledge that let's keep it simple. Because when it is too complex, as Alan Greenspan himself said, not even regulators can regulate it. They don't understand it.
Hi, I'm very glad to have heard your address, and I think everybody else here enjoyed it as well. You gave all of us a very specific, tangible task that we could undertake in our lives if we hadn't already, which is to take our money out of a large bank and put it in a credit union. And as a former organizer, I think that's great. It's a specific action that people can take. The entire subtext of what you were saying is that we have increasing corporate domination of society and sort of a reverse Robin Hood phenomenon going on, where the rich and powerful and the corporate are more and more prosperous and more immune from the laws that affect the rest of us. Do you have some specific, tangible ideas that are actionable by people in the room that you would suggest people take in the political sphere that would be analogous to the taking their money out of banks idea that you had, in economics?
Yes, I think do not support candidates, either with your money or your time, who are not willing to stand up to Wall Street and who are not willing to stand up to corporate interests. They may, they will be able to contribute a lot more money maybe than you can, or they'll be able to have hundreds of lobbyists doing their bidding in Washington. But candidates also need real people on the ground. And so let's use that power, and let's not settle this time, because the stakes are too high to just settle.
But do you have a yardstick that you would suggest that people look at to measure if the candidates are in fact measuring up according to what you just said?
Well, right now, we have a very specific bill in front of us that involves the Consumer Protection Agency and real regulation of Wall Street. Where do your candidates stand on that, if they are federal candidates? I mean, that would be a very good, very basic yardstick.
Okay, thank you.
I think that was the last question, actually.
Well, I just want to thank you all very much and to go forward and be optimistic about all the change you can bring about. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.